What's up, NEC fans? We are back with the latest edition of NEC Men's Basketball on the Run. I'm your host, Kyle Turner, alongside the NEC's hoops guru, Ron Ratner. Ron, let's jump right into the weekend takeaways.
Kyle, we are 7 weeks down, 2 to go. What have we learned? We haven't learned very much at all. That's what I take from the weekend. What we do know is we finally got some separation at the top of the standings. With a 10-4 record, preseason favorite St. Francis U. They're the only team to clinch an NEC tournament berth, and they've taken a 2-game lead on the field thanks to a 7-game win streak that's the 10th longest in the nation at this time. In the race for the regular season title and the top seed in the NEC tournament, the Flash can really put some pressure on the other contenders if they sweep the 2 Brooklyn teams at home this weekend and then take a 2-game lead into the final weekend of play. And while St. Francis is alone in first, right behind you have some standstill traffic. 5 teams tied for second place with 8 and 6 records. Hopefully this weekend we'll start to clear that up a bit, because if we don't, Kyle, tiebreakers could be maddening this year. Really looking forward to that. I know you'll help, right?
Absolutely. I'm here for whatever you need.
So right now you have FDU, Robert Morris, Sacred Heart, St. Francis Brooklyn, and Wagner all deadlocked in second place. And just to show you how quickly things can change in the conference, we went into last week with St. Francis Brooklyn and Wagner in 5th place. They both swept their weekend and emerged in second place with a pair of wins, so you can move up and down pretty quick. Behind them, you have 4 other teams jockeying for a spot just to qualify in the tournament, with LIU leading the pack at 6 and 8. While LIU hopes to gain ground on the teams ahead of them, they also need to hold off Bryant and Central 1 game back, and the Mount 2 games back, very much alive for one of the 8 playoff berths. So Kyle, you could confirm this one. We had some great games, some crazy finishes this week, right?
We did.
But how about a game that ends 105 to 104 in regulation? You don't see that all too often. Bryant and Sacred Heart have had some classic games over the years, from the Joe O'Shea shot heard round Smithfield in the 2015 NEC quarters, the Sacred Heart's 112 to 110 triple overtime win in 2017, to last Thursday's craziness in Smithfield. Let's just go through some of the numbers here. At 105 to 104, it was the highest scoring regulation game in nearly 14 years. The 2 teams combined to hit 33 pointers, shooting over 54% in the process. That's the most triples in a game, in a league game, in 21 years. Moving on, Bryant shot 69.2% for the game. That's the highest percentage in an NEC contest, also in 21 years. We're not done. Sacred Heart hit 17 three-pointers in the game. That's the most in a league game in 5 years. And finally, we had Sean Hohen and Adam Grant having their own personal shootout, each going for 30-plus points, each hitting 6 from three-point range. Kyle will talk a little bit more about Adam Grant later on, but what a game we had in Smithfield last Thursday.
All right, Ron, what else did you take away from the weekend?
Kyle, we have to talk about the 44th annual Battle of Brooklyn. It's the NEC's best rivalry. 2 neighborhood schools going toe-to-toe once again. This time, it was the Terriers who put an end to LIU's 2-year reign with the Battle of Brooklyn trophy with their 83-76 win at the Pope Center. It was Glenn Sanabria, the NEC Co-Player of the Week, who was the key for the Terriers. He was named the most valuable player of the battle, hit 5 of 8 from three-point range, led St. Francis with 17 points. Always a great game when those 2 teams go at it.
Lots of information in the weekend takeaways. The Battle of Brooklyn's always a good one. But now, Ron, it's time for you to give me your play of the week.
Kyle, we had all these fantastic finishes, but the play I want to focus on this week is Jalen Jordan's three-pointer in the Battle of Brooklyn. Take a look at the sophomore's head fakes and footwork when he takes this triple right here. This is Klay Thompson level stuff here. I love watching Jalen Jordan play. He can beat you inside, he can beat you on the drive, and he can beat you on the step back. And when he's at the top of his game, the Terriers are hard to beat. Hats off, Jalen Jordan, on our play of the week.
Yeah, Ron, Jalen Jordan's got a laundry list of moves that he can pull out at any given time. And now it's the point in the show where we take our Twitter timeout.
You don't often get the chance to see something special happen on the court, but last Thursday on Valentine's Day, it was very cool being on site to watch cousins Keith Braxton from St. Francis and Mike Holloway from FDU square off for perhaps the last time when they met in a national TV game on CBS Sports Network at Fairleigh Dickinson. Both had sensational games to start. Braxton finished with 21 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, and 4 steals, and Holloway had 22 points, 6 boards, made 10 out of 13 shots. So they both brought their A game. But what made it really special, and yes, Kyle, this tweet is my own tweet here, their families were in attendance, so there was a reunion feeling in the arena, and seeing them swap jerseys on Love and Basketball Day in the NEC, it all kind of made sense. And if you want to learn more about the family ties that bind Keith Braxton and Mike Holloway, absolutely go read Ryan Pierce's feature on the NEC Overtime blog that he published a couple weeks ago. It's a great read on two of the NEC's finest players.
You're absolutely right. Keith Braxton and Mike Holloway are two greats in the NEC. Speaking of players, give me your under-the-radar player for this week.
This one is easy, Kyle. I'm going with St. Francis University sophomore forward Mark Flagg. We all know the Red Flash, they're stocked with an outstanding group of guards, but it's really been the play of the 6'9 sophomore Mark Flagg that's helped spark St. Francis's current 7-game win streak. What he's done is he's been able to impact the game on both ends of the floor. If you look at his last 3 outings in particular, he's averaged 12 points, almost 6 rebounds, and 3 blocks per game, shooting nearly 64% from the field. This is coming off the bench for the Flash. You're seeing here how his defense can help jumpstart St. Francis's transition game, which is a key to their success. What I really like is watching the big man run the floor and then get rewarded on the other end. With Flagg on the rise, it makes first place St. Francis that much tougher to beat come March.
Okay, from Loretto to Smithfield, we go for the Star Watch, Ron.
This week's Star Watch focuses on Bryant Junior guard Adam Grant. I love watching Grant play, and when I think about it, he's kind of like the NEC's version of Jamal Crawford. He doesn't need much space to get his shot off. He has that picture-perfect shooting form, and he will take and make big shots. He can turn on that switch and just heat up from long range, and we saw that last week. Last Thursday, he had one of the best games in the conference all season. Hit 6 out of 9 from three-point range, scored a season-high 32 points, also dished for 7 assists in the game we spoke about earlier against Sacred Heart. Grant was an All-NEC honoree last year, and he's been on pretty much a tear over the last 3 contests, averaging almost 27 points on 50% shooting from distance. So as Bryant makes its playoff push, Adam Grant will be a central figure for an improved Bulldogs squad.
Hopefully he'll be able to grant some wishes for the Bulldogs come March, but now we have 3 players to talk about in the NEC Milestones.
All right, Kyle, I don't know if I could follow up a stellar line like that, but here we go. NEC Milestones will start with Central Connecticut senior Tyler Cole, scored his 1,000th career point this past Saturday at St. Francis, Brooklyn. That makes 11 current NEC players who've scored 1,000, but Tyler Cole is the only one who's done it in 2 years, so hats off to him. And how about Glenn Sanabria, the St. Francis Brooklyn graduate student? He cracked the top 25 on the NEC's all-time made three-pointer list last week. So St. Francis's Mr. Big Shot has now hit 230 career triples. That's tied for 24th all-time. He needs just 10 more to make the top 20. And of course, we're backtracking Keith Braxton's march up the NEC rebound chart. He's now up to 836 in his Red Flash career. That's 20th all-time in the conference. Just 10 more, he'll make it all the way up to the top 15.
Congratulations to those 3 players for hitting their respective milestones. Ron, we have a couple interesting games on tap for this weekend. What do you have?
Definitely an interesting week, Kyle. With the standings so jumbled, every game this weekend has meaning, but I'm circling St. Francis Brooklyn's trip out to Western PA. As we said earlier, the Terriers moved from 5th to 2nd with a sweep last week. Now they have a couple of pivotal games against 2 of the league's best when they meet up with St. Francis U on Thursday and then Robert Morris on Saturday. In the Terriers' first meeting with the Red Flash in Brooklyn Heights back in January, it was Glenn Sanabria who hit this layup with 3 seconds left for the win. And St. Francis Brooklyn always seems to go down to the wire against Robert Morris. When they met the first time this year, Terriers led most of the way before the Colonials scored the last 6 points to win it 52-49. Expect another physical defensive battle in that one. Our national TV game this week takes place on Thursday as Bryant hosts Wagner at the Chase Center in a game that will air on CBS Sports Network. Should be a great atmosphere. Bryant's fighting for a postseason spot, and Wagner is looking to remain near the top of the NEC standings and possibly make a push for the top spot. Tip-off is at 7 p.m.
All right, fans, keep an eye out for those games, and don't forget, all other league games can be seen live in HD and for free at NECFrontRow.com. That'll do it for this week's edition of NEC Men's Basketball on the Run. For Ron Ratner, I'm Kyle Turner. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next week.